Steve, can we stop the background music? Please make your way to your seat. The venue, the tables, the vibe, the energy, yourself, you're all amazing. But to get the vibe and to feel the energy in the room, reach out to the person next to you on the left. Wave to the person on the other side. Please receive. Get to know the person on the other side. There's not much happening. Catch up for coffee because we need to build a relationship. That's what the journey must embrace a purpose. Simply because effort and courage are not enough. The whole purpose of education is to turn mirrors into windows. So our purpose for this evening is to celebrate and congratulate Peter Tedros and his team for their vision, determination, courage, and for keeping local communities. A key question always asked, why is local news important to the community? Several important ways, and help create a shared culture. We live in a time when all sorts in our way our notion of community. Hence why local media is important to us, because help us understand our vote meaning to the larger community, as well as why we should be concerned about certain issues. Congratulate Peter and his team with a heartfelt applause. We are all equally important, and together we would like to MP and Victor has been doing amazing work as a small business minister, as well as building business resilient. Mr. Joe Rizet, CEO for the Arab Bank. Mr. Danielle Nicholas, board member of St. Victoria's Charity, Singapore Society. As well as we've got Icon Sports for hosting the silent auction tonight, and a special mention to Rebecca at the William English Hotel. So, this is all the formality, and now we need to welcome the acknowledgement to country. Can I trouble you please, Lara, to come forward?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. My name is Darryl Sabar, and I was proud to be asked here tonight to do the acknowledgement of country. As this is not my country, I am unable to do a welcome to country. I was given the option to wear traditional dress. However, nobody wants to see a 71-year-old man in a lap before they eat. Please indulge me for a minute. I am a Wiradjuri man born in Lithgow Hospital in 1951, given 48 hours to live. That didn't go quite plainly. When we left Lithgow, we moved into the old tin sheds at Warwick Farm. Does anyone remember them? Huh? From there we moved into Billwood, and that's where I met my wife of 49 years and 3 days. For 40 years, raising 3 girls and a boy. We had 4 grandchildren, 2 already attending uni and 2 still in school. All have surpassed our wildest dreams, and I have only just touched on their achievements. I am currently the chair of both the Working Party and Board of Warravinga Native Local Place Aboriginal Corporation. Everyone sees this on Facebook. I just like looking at that photo. You will notice that in their pockets they have the capital, the Burris Nation as a traditional country, and promise to respect their lands and people at all times.
We know, since its launch, the Premier Dominic Perrottet has endorsed keeping these local. We know that KNL lodged their first paper in Fairfield and was overwhelmingly received by the community, councils, local businesses. Hence, their plan to expand across all Western Sydney. KNL's motto is a voice for all. The paper is not affiliated with any political party and is distributed free to residents in Sydney, South West and Western Sydney across the board. To take us on the journey of KNL, can I ask you please join me to welcome Peter Tadros for the Founders' Welcome Address.
Our original launch in Fairfield last November. Just a bit of history. My wife, Marion, stand up. Marion is actually she's the one with the media background, not myself. So Marion's got a Bachelor of Mass Communications from Cairo University, and I'm just helping her out. The history, the vision, basically filling the void. You know, ever since these local papers were ripped out of communities a couple of years ago, no one knows what's happening in their local communities anymore. No one knows what's happening in the street behind them. So we felt that it's important that this is brought back. It's a service to the community. We felt that we bring this back, and we get mixed views out there, but the majority, when you tell them there's a new local paper coming, they actually get excited that they're going to get the paper coming. But because we're covering such a large area now, 5 LGAs, Bankstown, Blacktown, Cumberland, Fairfield, Liverpool, it's going to be staggered, it's a pretty mammoth job. Distribution-wise as well, that's an issue too, getting the papers out there. And on that point, I'd like to thank Mr. George Dibb of Metro Petroleum. He's offered all these petrol stations as pick-up points for the paper for the community to access. Thank you, Mr. Dibb. On the distribution side, we've got Blacktown City Council will be giving them about 20,000 copies from tomorrow. We're focusing on Blacktown. Initially, it's a very large LGA. I believe it's the largest LGA in New South Wales of 400,000 plus people. Fairfield's well covered now, but mainly in shops. Liverpool will get some in selected suburbs. Mr. Simon Hanna, our operations manager, where is he? Simon, stand up. There he is at the back. Right in the middle there at the back. Simon's our operations manager. Actually approached us to distribute catalogues with our paper. So there's another potential added service there to business owners in the community, because it makes it cheaper for them to get the paper distributed out instead of doing it, per household. They can do it with us, and it brings our costs down, brings everyone's costs down. So, in a nutshell, that's it. Thank you all for coming. I hope you have a good night.
Well, now we're going to be entertained. Eventually, we're going to have the Lion Dancers Club the Sydney Young Year Tom Dragon Line Dance will be entertaining us later this evening. But now we'd like to invite Kate Lee as a Regional Director, Sydney Metro for St Vincent de Paul Society. Experienced senior advisor with demonstrated history of working with government and public policy. Skilled in policy analysis, politics and government. Please join me to welcome Kate Lee to the microphone.
Well, there's nothing like seeing your face and Joe's screen behind you. Hello everyone, it's lovely to be here. Thank you, Wally. It's a great pleasure to be joining you tonight for this Western Sydney launch. Thank you also, Daryl, for that wonderful acknowledgement of country. I'll be after that very shortly. I've travelled here from Medigal Country in the south of Sydney, in the St George area, and I too pay respects to ancestors past and present. I think Western Sydney is something of a mythical place. For years now, it's held a special role in the political discussion, media discussion, representing something or other for people. Fabled Western Sydney voters make them vote careers and policies, almost as if it's a monolithic place. Of course, what Western Sydney means to people means to farm. But it's also often talked about as a caricature, as if it's a homogenous place, one group of people who all think and have the same views and lives, as if the lives and stories of people in Penrith are interchangeable with the lives of a Penrith Eagles fan, that being a Panthers fan is basically the same thing. I don't think so. Maybe 5 or 10 kilometres is the Sutherland Shire, but my husband grew up in the St George area. Occasionally people say, oh, that's like the Shire. Western Sydney is anything but homogenous. It's the third largest economy in the 3 times the geographic size of the 5 boroughs of New York City, and home to people who have hailed from the hundreds. It is one of the most culturally diverse places on earth. In Sydney, thousands of volunteers, members bringing connection and hand up, not a handout, to people in their own communities. So I want to tell you just a little story, if you'll indulge me. A story I've told a few times, as Josie, my colleague who's here with me, will attest. But for me, it really represents a story of the good work that our members do, and it's a lovely Western Sydney story. I want to tell you about Nigel. I met Nigel last year. We have a very generous arrangement with Grilled Burgers, who we run the night patrol service that some people might know. It serves people living rough or living in public housing, and we serve them a meal and some companionship every night of the week. And Nigel came, but every month, Grilled Burgers puts on an event for our visitors to our service. They close their restaurant, they stand with their staff, our visitors come, and they are the only guests of the restaurant, and it's an experience most of them generally don't have. They are greeted what they would like, and then told to take a seat and the meal will be brought to you. It's a simple thing, it's fast food. For most people that visit our service, it's not something they get to experience very often. So I met Nigel just before Christmas, and he was introduced to me, and he was profusely thanking me on behalf of Vinnie's. I mean, I've not met him before, but as a representative of Vinnie's, I was happy to accept his thanks. He said, I just have to tell you, I used to be homeless, and I probably made some bad decisions, but the thing is, when you're homeless, you're just sad all the time. And you've got nobody, and you just wander around, but the only thing I had was Vinnie's and the van. And we would give him a sandwich, and a pretty bad cup of coffee, maybe some Milo, and someone to talk to. But after visiting with us for a few years, we were able to build a relationship. Through that relationship, he was able to be moved on to our members here in Western Sydney, near Bankstown. And Nigel had got himself some housing, but he had nothing else. He also got himself a job. But he was starting off a new life with nothing. He had no possessions. So what our members did was met with him in his home, gave him what he needed to get started, some very modest furniture and bedding. And he had come back to the service to say, I'm not going to be around much anymore because you gave me what I needed and now I'm off. said, "What are you doing, Nigel?" He said, "I'm doing demolition. I'm really good at breaking things." But he was so proud of himself. And for us, that is a true Vinny story. It was a hand up. We were there when he needed him. He was sustained for a period by those relationships, moved on to our local conference in Bankstown, and now that's where he lives. He's starting his own life with a job and a little bit of modest furniture from us, and he won't be back, which is great but sad. But that story, as someone leaving homelessness, he obviously had no possessions, and we were able to make sure that he could start his new life with a pretty inexpensive intervention to make sure he probably didn't need it. He won't need any help from us ever again, I hope. But that's not where the story ends, because even though food and connection was what Nigel got from Vinnie's, he also got relationships with people who could see and understand him as a whole person, not just a welfare case. But Nigel's story is a Western Sydney story. He's made a life here with a home and a job, but it would be easy to see this story as just one of homelessness and recovery. But it's also a story of our members, local people in this community who visit people in their homes, in their own communities, help them in their hour of need, and add to the dignity and well-being of their neighbours. So your project, Keeping News Local, to tell the stories of Western Sydney is so much more too. By seeing the people of Western Sydney in all their diversity and difference, you take the abstraction and let the humanity of this place shine through. The sometimes awkward, sometimes hard, sometimes messy or beautiful aspects of humanity, you will show this place as one of over 2 million stories told through the eyes of over 2 million whole people. At Vinnie's, we are so grateful for your support tonight. What you give tonight makes what we do possible, and we will never be able to thank you enough for that. I wish the organisation every success. It's an incredible and valuable endeavour. I hope that our shared purpose will continue to make a meaningful difference in the lives of the people with a helping hand, or the people with the hand out to help. Thank you again for having me. I hope you have a lovely night.
I live in Bankstown, but supporting what I hear, read and see, what the leadership of Liverpool, we can only congratulate me and Ned for your leadership style, for your to basically transform Liverpool to be an icon, a beacon of potential investment and innovation, and keep up the good work. We're now going to be entertained by the Lion Dancers Club. So please, welcome the Dragon Dancers.
Thank